Hey folks, Massenburg Studios here, and I figured it's finally time. In today's day and age, when just about everything with an electrical current running through it has access to the internet, and with social media dominating the landscape with all the doom scrolling you could possibly imagine, I figured it's finally time to establish a social media presence. And I figured what better way to do that than by doing a new video series that I'm calling Music with Massenburg. In this video series, I'm going to be giving you a behind-the-scenes look on how I write music and do sound design for various video game projects, among other things, that I'm currently working on. Wow, so cool, bro. And I figured what better way to start this series than by writing some music with these. So for those of you that don't know what this is a cigar box guitar. And it's quite literally what it sounds like. It is a guitar, typically 3 or 4 strings, that is made out of a cigar box. So the cigar box guitar came out in roughly the 1800s and was the brainchild of 2 things that, ironically, are the 2 things that result in many modern innovations. And those 2 things, of course, are Southern ingenuity and poverty. So, if you weren't wealthy enough to buy an actual guitar, what you did was build your own guitar. And a lot of times they use empty cigar boxes or pieces of driftwood, whatever they could get their hands on and make an actual guitar out of. So in recent years, there's actually been a resurgence of cigar box guitar culture. That came about due to the do-it-yourself age and just people wanting to build their own things. And there's actually quite a big following for cigar box guitars in today's day and age. So I've actually built 2 of these guys. This is the first one that I built. This is the prototype, essentially. I learned a lot about how to build these guys as I was building this and learned what to do and what not to do, which is how I came up with this guy, which is Mark II of the cigar box guitars that I've built. This one has a little bit more playable action on it. It's a little bit easier to move around on, although I still use the other one for a bunch of slide work or EBO work and other things where that would be more useful than a guitar with a lot smoother action on it. So you may be asking yourself, Massenburg, why did you build these 2 things when you could just buy a normal guitar? And there's actually 2 reasons for that. The first reason is I am actually a bass player by trade. I can't even tell you how many basses in that back room over there, but I don't have a single guitar. And rather than spending, $400 or more on a nice guitar that I felt like would be applicable for what I'm doing, why not just build some myself? I thought that was a pretty cool concept. The second reason why I built these guys is because in this industry, you want to have your own unique sound. You want to have something that makes you stand out and makes you original amongst all the other composers and arrangers out there. And the cool thing about cigar box guitars is that no 2 cigar box guitars are built exactly the same. Therefore, no 2 cigar box guitars are going to sound exactly alike. They're all unique, which is a really cool concept. So, the song that I'm going to be writing with those guys today is not necessarily for a video game project yet, although I do fully intend on using both of those guitars on future video game projects. I just wanted to kind of get an idea of what they sound like and how they perform, so I'm doing an instrumental album that's actually using and featuring both of those guitars. And I figured, what better way to do that than by doing a Cyberpunk Cowboy album? Because every sane person comes up with that idea and chooses, that's a great genre to write on a cigar box guitar. Alright, so here we are in the DAW. I am going to start off by coming up with an intro for this song, and I have an idea of what I want to do for this. So now I just actually have to lay it down. So I'm going to start off with some really creepy, ambient, very cyberpunk sounds, and we'll see what happens from there.
This is Cyberpunk Cowboy.
here we are on day 2 of putting this video together. I unfortunately had to stop production the other night because the thunderstorms were getting so bad around here. And it's not that I'm necessarily concerned about lightning damage or anything like that. Everything in my little corner studio over here is pretty well surge protected. It's just that the thunder was getting so frequent that I was picking it up in every single audio take I was doing. So I had to stop production. It happens sometimes. So today's a new day. It's actually nice and sunny outside. I just got finished mowing the lawn. In addition to that, what wonderful timing I had, my new studio lighting came in, so now I'm much brighter and I don't have to fiddle with it as much in post. So that's another nice added bonus. But anyway, let's get cracking on some music, shall we? Alright, so just to recap what I've used on this intro so far, I'm going to point out a couple things for you. One of the things you saw me use was this guy right here. This is called a dobro. This is a resonator guitar. It gets that name because of the giant metal resonator plate that's inside the body of it. These get a super unique timbre because of that. You'll hear them in country music, you'll hear them in bluegrass music. Oh, you'll hear these all the time in bluegrass music. And side note, if you want to check out an absolute master of this instrument, look up a guy named Jerry Douglas. That man is just an absolute machine on the dobro. He does things on this instrument that I didn't even know were possible. Oh, before you nerds out there push up your glasses and go, "Excuse me, Mr. Massenburg, you said you don't own any guitars. And that's clearly a guitar you're holding in your hands right there." Yes and no. It's in the same family as a guitar, but as you can see, the action on this instrument is ridiculously high. There is absolutely no way to push your finger down to fret a note on this thing. It has to be played with a slide. So is it a guitar? Kinda, but not really. When you say guitar, this is not the first thing you picture, so no, it's not a guitar. Second thing you saw me use was this lovely little block right here. This is called a sound stone. And this has 2 magnets inside of it, and what this does is it causes any metal string to infinitely sustain. If you're familiar with the guitar world, you've probably heard of an EBow before. This is pretty much an EBow. They're just a heck of a lot more affordable. 2 brothers out of Austin, Texas actually make these. I highly, highly recommend them. The third thing you saw me use was this lovely piece of surgical tubing that I had inserted inside of my mouth. On the other end of this tubing is a talk box. And what a talk box does is it takes any audio input signal and plays it through this tube. You then stick this tube in your mouth, like that. And then when you mouth words or syllables or vowels or consonants or whatever you want to mouth, it changes the timbre and the tonality of the sound coming out of this tube. These are used in the guitar world. If you're familiar with the song "Livin' on a Prayer" by Bon Jovi, the main guitar lick uses one of these, and if you're not familiar with that song, you've probably been living under a rock for the last 40, 50 years. Daft Punk also uses these all the time on synthesizers. That's actually what I did on this song. But yeah, they're really cool. If you want to get a really nice robotic voice and you can't sing and you want to slobber all over yourself in the process, talk boxes are the way to go. Anyways, that's enough of me talking. Let's get back to the music here. I'm going to continue building this intro. I'm going to do it very similarly to dubstep and EDM intros, where it builds over time and then you get that nice big fat drop that happens. So let's lay down some rhythm guitar with the Cigar Box Guitars and see what happens. Part of it's done, but before the big drop happens, I want to do a short industrial percussion break. But I also want to incorporate some Western cowboy elements to that, and I have an idea for how to do that. But give me 2 seconds, I'll be right back. I gotta go grab some things to do that. It honestly doesn't get much more cowboy than that. Alright, main riff is done. It's now time to move on to what I'm calling the verses of this song. And I'll do some instrumental soloing over these verses since it's an instrumental album. Whether or not I'm going to use the synthesizer or one of the Cigar Box Guitars, and maybe do some slide work or normal picking, I have no idea yet. I'm kind of wing it as I go here. And we'll just see what sticks and see what happens. That's all done. Essentially, the main lick is going to repeat itself again after that solo. So now I'm going to do verse 2 and do another solo. And please forgive me, guitarists of the world, because I'm halfway contemplating doing a talk box guitar solo. And I am not a guitar player. So we're going to see what happens here. Hopefully it's fine. But we'll find out. So I will 100% admit that took way more takes than I'm willing to admit. But I got it done, and it's passable, at least to me. So now we just have to round out this song. We're going to play the main riff again. I'm going to double up the main riff and add a normal guitar solo over the top of it. And hopefully that turns out fine too, but we'll see. Well, would you look at that? The song is pretty much done. All that's really left to do is to mix and master this fully. And I'm not going to bore you with that in this video. I might cover that in another video, we'll see. If you want to hear the full song, you're going to have to wait for the album to drop, which I will drop very soon here across pretty much every streaming platform that you can imagine. In the meantime, if you want to check out some of the other stuff that I've put out, I put out a bunch of albums for funsies that are on all streaming platforms, ranging from lo-fi albums to ambient soundscapes. I've got a couple modern impressionism albums that I've done on there. Please go check those out. But in the meantime, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.